Hey friends, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just gonna share with you a bunch, like a get it all done video. I'm gonna share with you my cheap grocery haul. I'm gonna share with you a bunch of food prep, meal ideas. We have a lot to do. I'll also show you my meal plan for the week. So let's get started. One thing I've been seeing a lot lately is obviously inflation prices. Hopefully within this video I can share with you some of my tips and tidbits that I use when I want to keep my grocery budget really low. The very biggest thing that I can tell you, if you don't eat a lot of plant-based meals, start eating plant-based, because the biggest inflation prices are actually coming right now from meat and dairy. And I get that like 90% of the world eats meat and dairy, but if you can incorporate more plant-based meals into your weekly grocery menu, you're gonna save a lot of money. The other thing is to keep ingredients super minimal. I know that sometimes we think rice and beans and spaghetti and stuff like that, you know, noodles gets really boring, but honestly, it can be a big part of your diet. You can also eat a lot of carbs. I get this question all the time. And incorporate them in a healthy way into your diet. I eat a high carb, low fat, plant-based diet. I consider myself fairly healthy. I'm very active. So I definitely think these meals can be appropriate for everyone. I incorporate a lot of veggies and fruits today, and you'll see that in my menu. Okay, here is my grocery haul. Most of this is actually from Albertsons, and then some of it's from Trader Joe's. I do have a few processed things from Trader Joe's. I'm sharing them because it's new things to us that we wanted to try, but also a couple tips on Trader Joe's. So hang on tight for a second. Okay, when it comes to produce, I actually like Albertsons better than Smith's. If you have either of those around you, maybe you could let me know what you like better. Albertsons, I feel like, has better coupons within their app, and I like that, especially with produce. Plus, with the Albertsons, like membership rewards, whatever it's called, you know, when you type in your phone number, you get better points, I feel like, to use in the store. So anyways, 2 red peppers. I got like a little over a pound of green grapes because they're on sale. They're so tart and sour. They are so good. Got some cherry tomatoes. I could literally eat this entire package in like 2 seconds because I love cherry tomatoes, but I won't. I'll use them for a recipe. Okay, 2 cucumbers. Obviously there's a cheaper cucumber to get, but I like the English style ones, which I think it's so funny because, like, I don't know why they're called that. You guys always let me know that they're not called that in England, but that's what they're labeled here as. These are usually seedless. Did I just call them watermelons? Cucumbers. Oh my gosh. Gluten-free Mission Wraps are usually something I buy when they're on sale. You can definitely make your own. That's a great way to save money, but convenience wise, these were like $2 plus $1 off. Plus I got Fetch Rewards, which is another great way. You can check my Fetch Rewards link down below, download that app and get a bunch of points every single time you scan a receipt and earn a bunch of points and then turn them into gift cards. Sweet potatoes were on sale for 99 cents a pound. I got 2 Hannah's and then 3 of the regular ones. I did get a red onion, which I only need a little bit for a recipe, so I might end up pickling the rest. I have that recipe on another video. I'll link it down below. So that's basically what I got from Albertsons. This was in my pantry. It's not part of my grocery haul. I pulled it out for this recipe. Anyways, okay, chickpeas, which I didn't buy this time. They were in my pantry. Okay, tofu. Actually, the cheapest tofu that I can find is between Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. And Trader Joe's tofu has only gone up 10 cents a pack in the past 6 months for me in my area, which is my tip for you. Trader Joe's has like the least raise of inflation. I actually just talked to Okay, I'm gonna chat with you really quick. I just talked to someone at Trader Joe's yesterday when I was there, and they said that they across the US have the lowest rise of inflation prices based on how they buy and sell their food. So they are only buying and selling like 5,000 to 10,000 units per store to kind of keep the prices lower. The biggest rise that they're seeing in their prices are things that have eggs, dairy, and meat in them. So if you're going to buy pasta or rice from them, there's probably no raise of price over the past 6 months versus your regular grocery store that has gone up 25 to 30 cents per pound in like store brand pasta. Anyways, it was really interesting. I had a great conversation with a guy that works there. He's like, I have to tell you, this guy is so knowledgeable, and he's like my best friend at Trader Joe's. Every time I go there, I see him. He must work the same days that I go in. Anyways, He's an older guy, super knowledgeable. He gives me all the insight. But he was like, the biggest thing that we've had inflation-wise is their Kringle, and that is something that's outsourced. They don't have kind of the means to make that. They purchase that from that company in Wisconsin. You guys familiar with Kringle? I don't really know. But anyways, it's gone up $3 in the past 6 months and people are upset about it. But again, it's because of the eggs that are in it. So he's like, a lot of people are coming back to more plant-based meals with us, and we're trying to incorporate more plant-based items on our shelves because people are looking for them and we can keep the costs low. So if you have a Trader Joe's near you or one that's like within driving distance, I would definitely check it out. Okay. Again, this is for my pantry. Sorry, I was pulling things out for the recipes. Okay, gluten-free flour, again, cheapest one I can get is Trader Joe's, and I haven't seen this go up in price in like a year, so it's kind of cool to see that. This was also a really great price. I realize it's creamy cashew. I'm hoping it will work if I bake with it. You'll see a recipe for that here in a little bit. I'm gonna make some bagels, but this was $4, and that is like so cheap compared to any other plant-based yogurt right now, so we'll try it. It is plain unsweetened. Okay, good. Sometimes I buy the wrong stuff and then I'm like so upset with myself. I can't eat a lot of cashews. I have like a mild stomach issue with them. I don't think it's necessarily an allergy, but they upset my stomach, but I'm hoping if I bake with this, it should be good. Okay, these I grabbed for my husband, and this week I grabbed for both. This I grabbed for both of us just to try. This is not like a budget-friendly option. 6 of these cost $4, and they're just like the little Baby Bell cheeses, but we wanted to try them. I think they're terrible. I'm gonna actually give them to a friend of mine because there's 4 left. We each tried one. We just aren't on board with plant-based cheeses. I think like they all taste really bad. If you like them, that's great. I just can't get down with them. So again, these are not a budget-friendly option, but it was like a splurge because we wanted to try it. These, however, I feel like are a budget-friendly option. They're $4. They're the meatless crumbles, and you just rehydrate them. And all I'm gonna do, I got these for my husband, is rehydrate them in pasta sauce or like a marinara and then put them over spaghetti. 90 calories per serving. There's 4 servings in a package, and then look at that, 15 grams of protein. So there's actually 60 grams of protein per container, and honestly, it's like $1 a serving. I think that's a great price. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below if you've tried these. Again, it is more of a processed option, and it's not super budget friendly when it comes to like this versus maybe a lentil or maybe making your own seitan or something. But I feel like this is something that my husband can rehydrate really quickly. He doesn't really love to cook, so I always look for options that are budget friendly that are also convenient. So there is the little haul. Let's get prepping the produce. Let me know in the comments below if you are plant-based or not. I'm actually really curious. Every time I kind of ask, about every 6 to 8 months, kind of my community here, my viewership, whether you're plant-based or not, actually most of the people comment that they're not plant-based. They're just looking to incorporate more plant-based meals into their lifestyle. So I'm actually really curious to know. And this actually came to mind because yesterday I was actually on TikTok and I saw a lady who said she's been vegan for 20 years. Her kids, who are 7 and 9, have been vegan their entire life. But recently, with the cost of food prices, they've stopped being vegan, which I actually found kind of surprising, not throwing any shade. I think if whatever fits your lifestyle, your budget, do that. As long as your family is fed, as long as they have what they need, do that. So I'm not throwing any shade, but I found it very curious, and I think it's mainly because she was saying, at least she was saying without saying it, I think, that her children like the plant-based like nuggets and meat substitutes, and unfortunately those have gone up really high in price, so she started buying regular chicken nuggets for her and her family. I think there are many like recipes that you can make homemade if you take the time to make them. I have a chicken nugget recipe that I think is fire, but I mean, my taste buds might be different than everyone else. But she's almost saying in reverse what I'm saying. So just let me know down below. How do you and your family eat at home? I'm actually just really curious. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I don't have the exact game plan, but for me and my household, a lot of times if we're looking to cut back on our budget, we don't eat a lot of processed foods. We don't eat a lot of prepackaged or frozen foods. And when I say frozen foods, I mean like meat alternatives and stuff like that. But I do have a few things obviously in my grocery haul. But we just try to make the appropriate choices for us and our lifestyle and our needs. But it's just, as long as it fits within our budget and feeds us for a week, we're good. I do want to start by saying that everything you saw in that grocery haul is obviously not everything we're eating for the entire week. That's just what I purchased this week. I have other things on hand in my fridge pantry and freezer. Lots of pasta, lots of rice. But you'll see my whole meal plan for the week at the end of this video, so stay tuned because it might give you some great ideas and also keep your prices really low if you're like us. Okay, I know people don't want to hear this, but you can't get everything you want for the price you want. I know, shocking, right? But a lot of people will come to my video and be like, you know what, this isn't what I was looking for. I want everything. I want all the fruits, all the veggies, everything, the meat, the dairy, and I want it for 50 cents a meal. And honestly, that's impossible. You have to be able to pick and choose and rotate foods every single week if you're trying to stay on a really low budget. And, that's just the honest truth. If you only have $100 to spend, definitely go for the higher starches. You can still incorporate fruit, but go for the fruits that are on sale. Bananas are always really cheap for us, and right now grapes are. I don't really know the season of grapes. But we all know that picking foods in season is going to be the most helpful. Another thing that I find really, really helpful, and I got this tip from my friend Alyssa, who is Alyssa All Day. I've talked about her a lot in my last few videos because I've been watching a lot of her content, old, new, etc. But making a large salad, incorporating a bunch of different components into a large salad and having that sit in your fridge is a huge budget game changer. This is the salad I'm making today, just some cucumber, onion, chickpeas, little cherry tomatoes. You could save a little bit of money and go regular tomatoes, but I didn't want all the seeds and the juices, so I went with cherry tomatoes and also add a little bit of green peppers. And then another thing I like to do, I'm just going to keep throwing tips at you. You don't have to memorize them. I'm just hoping that some of them will help engage your mind in, helping your own grocery budget, is I like to stack my meal plan. So if I'm already buying cucumbers for a recipe, then I'll buy an extra cucumber for a snack. Same with the red peppers that you're going to see here in a little bit. That's a great snack option. So I like to stack my meal plan on the fact that we do eat things kind of multiple times a week. I like to meal prep for about an hour on the weekends to kind of set us up for the week ahead. I like to do some homemade, some convenience foods. If we're really crunching on our budget, like we did in 2020 and 2021 when we were becoming debt-free, we were buying a house, I made everything homemade. And it was kind of exhausting if I'm being honest, but it was super rewarding because back then I was spending $30 to $50 a week on groceries, making everything from scratch, and we saved a ton of money. Right now, I don't actually have to be super, super budget conscious all the time, but I rotate weeks. 1 week a month, I might do a pantry video, which I did last week, and I'll do as many meals as I can get from our pantry. Another week, I'll do a large grocery haul, and then I'll do small grocery hauls like this to kind of fill in throughout the week. So the roasted potatoes that you saw here, these are going to be for dinner this week. Again, I love having things on hand so that way when it comes to being convenient, we have meals in our refrigerator for our busy days and we can just kind of put the components together. What you're not seeing is roasted veggies that I'll be making. I like doing frozen veggies, just personal preference. They're about $1 to $1.25 a bag, and one bag can feed my husband and I for 1 meal or 2 meals. So just keep that in mind. So as far as the onion goes, I will use the rest of the onion in a chickpea salad, which I didn't have time to make this day, but I will leave a recipe video down below if you want to check that out. Just some chickpeas, a little bit of pickles, which I have in my fridge. If you don't have them, use whatever you have, a little bit of onion, apple cider vinegar, and some mustard. I whip it up in a food processor, and we'll have that with the wraps, with the bagels you'll see here in a little bit. We also have different bread on hand that my husband uses. He's not gluten-free. I try to eat gluten-free. I get this question a lot, am I celiac? What's going on? I have a mild allergy to gluten, and I know this because of how my body reacts when I eat too much gluten. It's not celiacs. But anyways, these are the chickpeas I grabbed from my pantry. And I always try to find a way to use the aquafaba, which is the liquid within the chickpeas. I've used it to make mayo before. I've used it to make peanut butter cookies. It's a great egg substitute. This day I should have saved a little on the side for the bagels. I'll talk about that later. But I decided to go ahead and make a dressing out of it, and it's 10 out of 10 fire. I do really feel like if you are someone who is crunching on your budget and really struggling, produce, fresh veggies are the ones that get stripped from our diet. So like I said, I like to incorporate more frozen produce when budget is forefront of our mind. There's nothing wrong with canned. There's nothing wrong with frozen. They're picked at peak, and then they're packaged immediately, unlike fresh produce, which everybody thinks is king. Everybody thinks like, if you're not eating fresh produce, you're doing it wrong. Well, fresh produce has to travel on a truck, especially where I live. I live in Vegas, so there's nothing growing around me. It has to travel to me. It has to go through multiple hands. It has to sit in the grocery store, and by the time I get it home, if you think about that, it's kind of gross, like how many places it's traveled and gone through. So a lot of times, like I said, can and frozen is just as great as fresh, but do whatever you can fit into your budget. Okay, so here is the dressing I'm making. This was just kind of made up. Again, I like to pick components like this cashew yogurt, which I didn't use all of it for the 2 recipes I chose it for. So we had some left over for breakfast and stuff like that. So I did the aquafaba, a little bit of the cashew yogurt, some apple cider vinegar. I'll type out the recipe, leave it down below. A little bit of Dijon. I don't really love creamy dressings, but I think because this one was vinegary enough, it hit the spot for me. Plus, it was going over some rice and salad, and it was actually really good. I could also make a little bit more if I wanted to, and add it for a salad dressing or a dip for the veggies, but this was plenty because it was very runny instead of being very thick. I know a lot of you always say like, make this ranch or this Caesar. I'm just not a creamy dressing person, so you'll see I use very little on my lunch this day. So to go along with this creamy dressing, which is not really a Caesar, not really a ranch, it's kind of like a vinaigrette. I don't know, but it was pretty good. I went ahead and made stovetop rice. Now, I have a lot of rice on hand. I have like 8 pounds of rice right now in my house. I have a ton. I need to do another quick meals with rice, cheat meals with rice video here soon, but I went ahead and made a little bit. So we had some on hand for lunch today and lunch tomorrow. And here are the seasonings I used in my rice. You can use whatever you have on hand. Turmeric really adds a lot of color, obviously, but so much flavor. And that green goddess dressing, I don't think they have any more at Trader Joe's, but I really like it. I should try to make a replica of it. But if you're new to my channel, you'll see salt and garlic in everything. That's the OG. Greatest of all time is the salt and garlic. So if you don't have a lot of money spent on seasonings, don't worry about it. Food tastes great as food. You don't need to season it if you don't want to. My mom always used to say, if you're hungry, you'll eat anything. And that's truly, truly like the best quote ever. Plus, I feel like social media has crippled us all into thinking we need the most aesthetic, beautiful, healthful meals. And if anything is below social media standards, we're doing it wrong. So it makes everybody feel bad when, as long as your family's getting fed, as long as they have the food that they need, it's all good. And I always like to mention too, in case someone pops on my video and they're really, really struggling, if you live in the US, you can call 211 and they can hook you up with how to get food in your area for food pantry advice, for the hours, for how to get food, etc. So 211 if you live in the US. So here is the dressing with the rice. I just used a little bit and it just added a ton of flavor. And I was gonna, like, if I wasn't gonna use the aquafaba, I don't put it in my freezer. So again, it's something that's like minimal waste, if that makes sense. You can freeze it if you want to. I just never do because I always forget about it. And then the salad is what we had on hand. So we could have this with pasta and rice later in the week. But it's a lot of vegetables. It's a lot of freshness that was not very expensive. And it was super delicious. I highly recommend trying this. And you can use any kind of veggies you want to kind of make a pre-made salad to have with your starch on hand. So, okay. Now we're going to make some 2-ingredient bagels. Now, truthfully, I've never made this with gluten-free flour before, but I have done a 2-ingredient dough in a Dutch oven style, and I'll link that video up above. You can check it out if you want to. In truthfulness, the bagels weren't the greatest, but they were okay. Like, could I have bought gluten-free bagels for cheaper at the store? Maybe, but they always have egg in them, and I don't eat egg, so it's just like finding a different option. And this is not super budget friendly, but if you use regular flour, it's extremely budget friendly. But please make your own breads at home. We're making a homemade French bread later this week. It won't be gluten-free. It'll just be for my husband. He'll have it with dinners. Like we're having a spaghetti and a soup, and I like to make homemade bread for that. And it's super cheap. It's like less than 50 cents a loaf. So I'll link a video for that down below as well. In case you are intimidated by making homemade bread, don't be. It's the easiest thing in the world. So this bread is very mealy, I guess, very smooth. It feels like soft homemade Play-Doh. It doesn't feel like your traditional bread. Like when I play with or need regular flour bread, it feels good to me, whereas this one kind of feels like it's going to constantly fall apart. Like I said, I should have saved a little bit of the aquafaba to like brush on the tops of the bagels so that way they could have some seasoning on the top. I didn't end up using my everything seasoning because I didn't save any aquafaba. I just kind of get in the zone when I'm filming and then forget things, but that's just the honest truth. I'm not a professional chef. I'm not someone who like makes content for a living. I'm just a girl who gets down in her kitchen and shares it with you guys to hopefully motivate you a little bit. So anyways, I also didn't boil my bagels. I've done the boiling with the 2-ingredient dough before with regular flour, but I was worried about this one just kind of melting away into the mist, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I kneaded my bread a little bit, kind of got it going, and then didn't even do the traditional rollout with these bagels because they weren't really feeling like they were going to stick together. Again, it's just kind of mealy, but they weren't bad overall. So I just kind of made my own bagel shape. Again, this is not like a traditional, let's learn how to make bagels. This is just me doing my best. But what we're going to do with these this week is I'm going to actually toast them and then put some tofu with them. So almost like a tofu egg sandwich. And they're actually pretty good. So I cut them in half and toast them. Once they were all done, I just keep them to store on my countertop in a sealed container and add some tofu. And that was breakfast for this week. Pretty good. They don't look great. They look kind of ugly, but they taste pretty good. And that's all that matters. As far as meal prepping goes, I'm very basic when it comes to meal prep. I like to get one breakfast and 1 or 2 lunch ideas and then do a couple of dinners. One thing that will save you a lot of money is each week, sometimes you got to replicate meals, but it'll save you a lot of money because you're only buying few minimal ingredients. And yes, sometimes having meals on repeat is not the most enjoyable, but my mom always used to say when we were little, if you're hungry, you'll eat anything. And I truly kind of believe that. And honestly, me and my husband both have our favorite foods, and so I try to always incorporate them. Obviously, I'm not going to feed something to us that we don't like or we think is disgusting, but having, like I said, meals in rotation saves us a lot of money. So here's my meal prep plan for the week. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping in and checking out today's video. If you have any tips to help people out when it comes to saving money right now at the grocery store, leave it in a comment below. I hope you subscribe, and of course give this video a huge thumbs up, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye-bye.